Winning Blueprint presents.
It's the Redskins Report. So it's everything Redskins and anything of the sort. That's right, there's nothing here to hide. Skins colors are so bold, man, I wear 'em with pride. So get this Skins Report. Recap of Sunday's game and anything of the sort. Whether it's losses or wins, it's all skins. Come get it. I'm holding down the fort. You know why? 'Cause it's the Redskins Report. Man, can't nobody tell me that, man. I've been watching Redskins football since I was 3. Where were you at on January 12th, 1991? I know where I was at. I was in my room crying because the Redskins just lost to the San Francisco 49ers in the divisional round of the playoffs. That's real. I'm serious. That's real. Man, just tune into the show, man. Just tune in. The Redskins Report.
Ain't nothing like a win in the National Football League. I tell you, there's nothing like it. Nothing makes your day brighter. Nothing makes your smile bigger. That's what a win does for you in the National Football League. Puts a pep in your step. Gives you hope that you didn't have a week before when you lost. Feels good to be back in the winner's circle. I'll tell you that much. Boy, did we need to see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We really needed to see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last week. And they needed to see us. This was a matchup between two teams who needed each other at this point in the season. We couldn't stop anybody on offense. They were struggling on offense. They were a very good defensive team, but we needed a team in front of us who wasn't going to score a lot of points. We've been scoring points this year, scoring enough to win in most instances, and having the defense let us down because they're not playing good football right now. And so the other teams have been outscoring us. We knew the Bucs weren't a threat to do that if we could just score enough points. And so they were the perfect team for us to be playing in week 4. They were the perfect matchup for us. If we play any other team, I venture to say if we play any other team in the NFC, we lose on Sunday because our defense just isn't good enough right now to hold teams down and stop them from scoring. We got the one team in the NFC that can't score points, that don't know how to put up points, and when they have opportunities, they know how to take advantage of opportunities to score points. We got lucky because they had opportunities to take advantage of some situations in this game, and they didn't do so. And they gave us some opportunities to take advantage of some situations, and we did take advantage of them. And so hats off to our crew for getting it done. It was a tight ball game, tighter than it should have been. It should have never gotten to this point. But that's nor here nor there. We got the win. Let's go over the game. Now, in the first half, good to see the defense on the first possession. They bent, but they never broke. It forced the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to punt after giving up about 3 first downs. So then we receive the football. We don't do anything. We have to punt. They get the football. They put together a small drive, resulting in a Connor Barth field goal. He's a nice little weapon for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Another one of these young kickers who you don't have to worry. Just put them on the field and they'll get you 3 points. Doesn't matter from where. Just put them on the field and they'll get you 3 points. That's a nice luxury to have, one that we don't have, one that we're not afforded at this time, and we need to find us a kicker. I'm not going to go into a rant. I've already done that and went down that avenue. I'm not going to do that again, but we need a kicker. We need a consistent kicker, one we can rely on, one that we know if we put on the field we're going to get 3 points out of. Barring some kind of breakdown in protection, he's going to pound it through the uprights. Anyway, I also noted in this first half that we need to tackle better. We're not the worst tackling team in the league, but we're up there. We don't tackle well enough, in my estimation. We let guys get away. The first person generally doesn't bring down the ball carrier or the receiver. We tackled a lot better this week, a lot better than we did against Cincinnati. There's no question about that. But still, I want to see guys catch a 4-yard pass and gain 4 yards. We have a lot of times where you catch a 4-yard pass and you get 7 on the play. Can't give up those extra yards after catch, extra yards after contact. Got to get guys on the ground and get them on the ground where they catch the football. Or if you're not going to be able to tackle them, hold on. Hold on until help arrives. There's nothing wrong with being dragged around until you get help. I'd much rather have you hold on for dear life than to just let them go and let them run for another 5 or 7 yards and then have the rest of your teammates come and help you out and assist you. Get these guys on the ground. Shoot cuffs. Okay, you can't run without your legs. Grab the legs and the rest of the body will fall to the ground. If you're not a short tackler, why are you going up high? Go down low, shoot the cuffs. Cannot go anywhere without your legs. Can't do it. So we just need to tackle a lot better. I don't think we tackle well enough. And at this point in the season, I'm done with all the excuses about not having extra practices and all that stuff. Be a professional, tackle better. Another thing that's starting to really annoy me in watching the game is the fact that I don't think Niles Paul makes enough plays. On the possession that we ended up scoring a touchdown on, but it was in spite of this play. Not, this play didn't help contribute to scoring. Robert Griffin III looked up in a tight little coverage, zipped it in there to Niles Paul, who went up and tried to make a leap and grab one that he should have made. Everyone thought he came down with it. I was ready to congratulate him because I didn't expect him to make that play because he hasn't made plays like that all year long. And this is dating back to the preseason. He does not catch the ball well enough for me. He's not catching the ball and making plays. And he has too much speed. He's too physical. He's too much of a mismatch to not catch the football. I want to utilize him more, but if you don't catch the ball, I don't have any faith in throwing a football to you and trying to get you to make plays and exploit the mismatch that you create with your size, your speed, and your sheer physicality. You got to catch the ball, man. You're not catching the ball enough for me. Now, you redeemed yourself later on in the game on that trick play where you were wide open. You couldn't drop that one. You were too wide open. I'm talking about the tough catches in traffic where a guy's swiping at the football and the ball hits you in your hands. You got to catch that. You're not catching those passes. This one you went up just like this, went right through your hands, and you tried to, actually you came down with it, and the impact of the ground knocked it and jarred it loose. You got to be strong with the football, and you dropped that one. We ended up scoring on that possession, took a 7-0 lead in the football game on a Robert Griffin III quarterback draw on about 3rd and 7 from the 7. And he got laced at the goal line and fumbled the football. Pierre Garçon was Johnny on the spot, fell on it, and we get a 7-3 lead off of that touchdown recovery by Pierre Garçon. The defense played well. I thought that Josh Freeman missed some things in that first half. I'll give the defense credit because he wasn't able. They weren't playing terrible defense. It's not like he missed egregious openings where guys were just running free and he didn't see them. But he had opportunities to make plays to receivers and throw them the ball and give them an opportunity to make plays. He just didn't take them. And I don't think he was scanning the field the way he needed to in the first half. And so his numbers weren't where they needed to be. And he didn't get points on the board and allow drives to continue to progress down the field because he wasn't picking up third downs, because he wasn't making smart plays with the football. Thought he was being a little bit tentative in his approach. He didn't want to make, you could tell he didn't want to make a mistake more so than him just going out and being a gunslinger. He has a huge arm. He can fit balls in tight spaces, and thought he was just being a really tentative in the first half. And it was to our advantage. We benefited from him not wanting to be aggressive with the football. And so they had to punt a lot of times. And Redskins forced a punt on their third possession. We got the football back, drove right back down the field again. This time we weren't able to quite get it in the end zone. And so we had to settle for a 31-yard field goal attempt that Billy Cundiff missed. So you see that and you say, okay, you let that one slide even though you're pissed, because 31-yard field goal in this league is supposed to be automatic. That's essentially an extra point in the minds of many fans. coaches and many players. That's an extra point. I was willing to forgive him for that one. I was willing to sweep that one under the rug. I said, okay, as long as you can bounce back from that, don't allow it to happen again. Don't miss any more field goals during the course of this game. I'll let that one go. It happens. It shouldn't happen often. Honestly shouldn't happen at all, but okay, it happened. You're Billy Cundiff. I don't trust you anyway. So we don't get any points out of that drive. It's still 7-3. We get back on defense, and we've been playing solid defense up until this point. And Josh Freeman comes out, and we start to get a little bit of pressure on him. The pocket collapsed on him on a comeback route to Vincent Jackson. D'Angelo Hall had really good coverage on the play, and Barry Cofield spun back into the inside, got to Freeman while he was throwing, hit his throwing arm while he was throwing the ball, and kind of made the ball come out a little funny. Allowed D'Angelo Hall to undercut the route, pick it off. And even if this ball was well thrown, I'm not sure D'Angelo Hall didn't at least get his hands on it. I don't know if he picks it off, but he was in great position. I mean, he literally ran the route just as Vincent Jackson did. And so not sure that he wouldn't have gotten to this pass anyway. I know Barry Cofield hitting his arm slowed the ball down and made it that much easier for D'Angelo Hall to catch. So I'm pretty sure if Josh Freeman is able to follow through and get, the full amount of velocity on that pass that he wanted to, I don't think D'Angelo Hall picks it off, but I don't think it's a completion either. Nonetheless, D'Angelo Hall gets his first interception of the year. And a big play in this game because, after missing that field goal, that kind of deflated the team just slightly. And for the defense to come pick up the special teams and get the offense back on the field in prime position to score, that was a big play. And we went down. Just as we had done on the previous two possessions, we marched the ball right down the field, had a short field, so got right back into the red zone. And Robert Griffin III in the red zone is a weapon for us. The beauty of us being in the red zone now is that we don't have to settle for field goals anymore. You have to defend his legs. You have to defend his arm. And so it's basically pick your poison. You're in a catch-22 because if you try to defend the pass too much, he's going to run. If you try to defend the run too much, he can pass it. And so we have that advantage in the red zone now, something that we haven't had in the past. And it feels good to know that if we get in the red zone, most times than not, we're going to score a touchdown. We were a field goal kicking team for the last decade. That's what we do. We kick field goals when we get in the red zone. My dad used to always laugh at me because he said, you guys go 20-20, get in the red zone, and I know you're kicking a field goal. Doesn't matter. You can have a 13-play, 87-yard drive. It's going to stop at the 7-yard line, and you're going to kick a field goal. And he was right. That's what we used to do. But those days are over. We got Robert Griffin III now. We get to the 7-yard line. You got to watch out for the quarterback draw. It's coming. Can you stop it is the question. Then, and I'm pretty sure they've got to be setting someone up for a fake quarterback draw like that, almost like a Tebow jump pass type thing where he fakes like he's going to run. Everybody sucks up and some tight end or a receiver's running a crossing route wide open in the end zone. It's coming. It's got to be coming. They got to be setting that up. You got to think that that's coming at some point in the season. But that's a beautiful option to have. It's a beautiful thing to watch. He had a quarterback draw on the second touchdown for the Redskins in the game as he came and he was untouched on this one. That was a thing of beauty. Everyone came. The middle of that line is blocking excellent this year, and especially in this game, Will Montgomery, Corey Lichtensteiger, and Chester all looked good, and they cleared out a big hole that Alfred Morris ran through, had no one to block, so he was able to seal it off by getting that safety in the end zone, and he walked in untouched, and we're up 14-3. And so the momentum was starting to build in our favor as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were starting to look like they weren't going to be able to stay in this game. And so if you're a Redskins fan, you never thought that this game was going to get out of hand. Even when we went up 21-3, I was always looking over my shoulder because we don't blow teams out. We don't put teams away. That's not what we do. It's not in our DNA. We're not a team that steps on the throat of an opponent. We like to let teams hang around, get chances. And so I knew this game was not over even when it was 21-3, but it was 14-3 after that score. So we kicked the football off. We stopped the Buccaneers again on offense. And again, they had opportunities on this particular possession. Josh Freeman had Vincent Jackson down the sideline. Would it have been a completion? I don't know. But we were playing soft zone. We allowed him to run free up the sideline. The safety was going to have one-on-one with, Vincent Jackson was going to have one-on-one with the safety. You'll take that matchup all day. Just throw it up there and allow Vincent Jackson to use that 6'5" frame to go up and get the football against one of our safeties. We don't have a safety that's going to stop Vincent Jackson. And so he was looking that way. I don't know what he was looking at because he was staring in that direction. He was open. He decided not to pull the trigger on it, instead dumping it off underneath to the running back. And so we dodged another bullet. I just thought that Josh Freeman was way too passive in the first half. And again, this was all to our advantage. This was to our benefit. And we were able to take advantage of all these missed opportunities by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They had to punt again. We get the football back, and as we had done all first half, we drove the ball right back down the field. This time we were able to get in the end zone on the legs of Alfred Morris, and it's good to see us finally punch in a touchdown run from a long distance by our running back. Alfred Morris was able to get in. This play was blocked beautifully. If you watch this play and see the breakdown of it, everything went perfect. And as a running back, you know, everyone can't be accounted for on every given play. And so they always tell you, we're going to block it up the way we're supposed to. You got to make that one guy miss in a hole. It's going to be one defender that's unblocked. It's your job to make him miss. In the past, we haven't had backs that could make that guy miss. And even if they did, they didn't have the speed to get away and hit that extra gear to find the end zone. I think Alfred Morris, he's sneaky fast. I think he's not a burner. Okay, he's not a 4.3, 4.4 guy, but what he is he has game speed. And you let him get free, he's going to start running. And once he gets running downhill, he's a tough guy to stop, and he can move. Don't be surprised if he breaks a couple runs because he's faster than you think. And this play was blocked beautifully. Logan Paulson was in on this play. Fred Davis had an excellent block. Logan Paulson came through and essentially sealed it off with a gorgeous block that allowed him to cut it back, make that one defender that he had to make miss. He's into the secondary, runs by a safety who took a poor angle. He's off to the races, and no one was going to catch him. You know, just like that, the Redskins are up 21-3 in this ball game, and it's looking like a rout. Again, I was never sold on the fact that we were going to blow this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team out because that's not what we do. Again, it's not in our DNA. We don't know how to close the show. We are a team that looks to hang on instead of driving teams into the ground and rubbing their face in the dirt. Instead of us doing that, we extend a hand to help them up. We don't want to see anyone get blown out. That's not what we want to do. We just want to win the game. We don't want to see anybody's ego get smashed and hurt. We just want to win the game. We want to be friends with everyone, and we don't want to destroy anyone's confidence. So we don't blow teams out. And I knew this was going to happen this game. And so, and what was indicative of that and what let me know that this game was going to go much like the New Orleans Saints game was that we did the same thing that we did in the Saints game. We're not aggressive before the half. Before I get into my mini rant about us not being aggressive before the half, let me just say this because I didn't say it. And I shouldn't have to say it, but I think it needs to be said anyway. Alfred Morris is a beast. Okay. Let me get into my mini rant about us not being aggressive before the half. I'm really getting sick and tired of us not being aggressive. The good teams are aggressive before halftime. You give Tom Brady, you give Drew Brees, you give Aaron Rodgers a minute and 55 seconds to go before halftime. You think they're going to run the ball and not try to score a touchdown before the half? Are you crazy? You want to be a good team? You want to be the Houston Texans? You want to be the Atlanta Falcons? Score points every time you get the football. Look to score points every time you get the football. Hell, you got 47 seconds and 2 timeouts. Why not try and score points, especially if you're dominating a team on the offensive side of the football? Why wouldn't you try to go get points? We had 2 timeouts and a minute and 55 seconds left on the clock, and we want to be conservative. We want to run screens. We want to run draws. What are you doing? Go after these guys. You have been killing them all game long. Go down the field. Spread them out. Allow Robert Griffin III to do what he does. He doesn't see anything. Guess what? You spread them out. They're in man-to-man coverage. They're in zone. It doesn't matter. He can run. Let's be aggressive. Again, we want to go run, screen, draw, dump off, crossing route, punt. What are you doing? Luckily for us, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were struggling on offense, and that conservative approach that we took actually helped us this game because they did absolutely nothing with the football, had to punt it back to us. We saved our 2 timeouts, used them both, got the ball back, got into field position to kick a long 54-yard field goal. Of course, we knew Billy Cundiff wasn't going to make it. He gave it a run, though. At least this one was straight. It just was about 2 yards short. But nonetheless, I was frustrated because it should have never came to that. We had 2 timeouts, a minute and 55 seconds left. When we got the ball back, what are you doing not trying to score a touchdown? We did it against the Saints. Dominated the first half. Their defense couldn't stop our offense, and yet we want to be conservative. Oh, let's just go to halftime with our 21-6 lead. Garbage. Garbage. It backfired in that game, and it backfired in this game too. Get points, man. Be aggressive. And before I close out the first half, I think it bears mentioning that he went for it on 4th down, 4th and short in this game in the first half. And the Buccaneers jumped off sides. We were going to get it anyway. Alfred Morris ran for about 6 yards on that play. They jumped off side. He needs to be aggressive on 4th downs. When we go for it on 4th downs, we make things happen. I think we're a pretty good short yardage team because we got guys that can get yards. We have tough runners. You can hand it to Darrell Young. You can hand it to Alfred Morris. Robert Griffin III is a threat to run it. We have options on 4th and 1. I don't think you should allow teams to get away that easily on 4th and 1. We went for it. We got it. And we ended up scoring points on that possession. We need to do that more often. And so that's something that we need to continue to do. Be aggressive on 4th and short. Because I think we have the group of players that can get it done in 4th and short. So let's go on to the second half. Mike Shanahan in the post-game press conference kept making mention of the fact that the Buccaneers didn't stop us in the second half. And I watched the game and I said, well, we didn't score any points in the second half. So what are you talking about? So I went back and watched the game again, and I watched the coach's film, and I watched everything that was going on, and I gave it a second look. He was right. They did not stop us in the second half. We stopped ourselves. And that's probably something that you would have noticed if you were watching the game. But I'm a guy that I go off of results. You say they didn't stop us. I say we didn't score any points, so they stopped us. But he was right. Upon further review, they didn't stop us. He was absolutely correct in his assessment that they didn't stop us on the offensive end. We stopped ourselves. We had a lot of penalties, a lot of things that were, and I want to say, I would love to say that these are uncharacteristics of the Redskins, but this is exactly who we've become this year. We were the most penalized teams we were one of the most penalized teams, if not the most penalized team in the league under the replacement referees. Some of those calls were bogus, so I kind of threw that stat out of the window. But we do a lot of dumb stuff in the game. I always have to yell at D'Angelo Hall to get away from the opposing team sideline because he always likes to run his mouth. And then he likes to put his hands on people in front of the officials as if he won't get a 15-yard unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. I find myself yelling at him quite often because he does a lot of stupid stuff. And Pierre Garçon, I'm realizing this slowly. And I thought that Pierre Garçon was a finesse guy when he was with Indianapolis. I was wrong. He's very tough. He's very physical. And he didn't take any nonsense. And so I have to watch him. I have to keep an eye on him because he doesn't mind mixing it up with guys. But when you are the second participant in any kind of altercation, you're the one that gets caught. And Pierre Garçon is one of these guys that if you push him, he's going to turn around and give you a hard two-handed chuck that if you go flying on the floor with, you're going to get a 15-yard penalty. And he got one of those in this game. We'll get to that later. But on our first possession, we were moving the ball splendidly, looking like a team that was on a mission to score more points. And then Will Montgomery got a senseless clipping penalty. Didn't need to do it because the guy that he clipped was behind the play, wasn't going to make the play. Will decided to try to cut his legs out from under him from behind, which can hurt somebody. I don't know what he was doing, what he thought he was doing on that play. In any event, it was a 15-yard penalty, really destroyed that drive, took us from probably about 2nd and 4 to about 2nd and 19. We couldn't really recover from it, had to punt the football. Tampa Bay, again, still stagnant from their first half activity, did nothing with their first drive in the third quarter. After they punted, they pinned us in deep in Redskin territory, and so we had our backs to the goal line, and we come out, run the football, didn't work. So then Robert Griffin III comes out, and I'm thinking on their second down play that almost resulted in a safety for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, when they sacked Robert Griffin III right on the 1-yard line, I'm thinking that was a design run. I watched the coaches film the all 22s on that play, and the receivers were blocking immediately. The receivers were blocking. The running backs were blocking. The tight ends were blocking. I don't think that was a route that anybody was running. I think that was a designed run that Robert Griffin III really carried out too well. He tried to sell the pass a little bit too well, and I think he took too long to start to run, and by the time he realized I'm in trouble, it was too late. It was too late. The Buccaneers were coming, and they were coming in drones, and he couldn't get away. There was nowhere for him to go, and luckily he didn't run too far backwards, or he would have ran to the end zone and got a safety. He was sacked on the 1-yard line. The next play was essentially a give-up play. We were just trying to get out of there because the Buccaneers were starting to get a little bit of momentum because we didn't do anything on the offensive end. And the crowd was starting to get into it because of the near safety. And so we just wanted to punt the football, get a little bit of space and punt. We do play action fake, roll him out. He throws it to the sideline, incomplete pass. So we were going to have to punt from our 1, except the Tampa Bay Buccaneers shot themselves in the foot again with a senseless roughing the passer penalty on Robert Griffin III in the end zone. So that gave us new life. That allowed us to not only get the ball out of our own end zone, but it allowed us to continue on a drive, and we started to mount a little drive. Robert Griffin III goes play action fake, and he did this a couple of times in this game, and I think this is the next step in his maturation. I think this is the next step in his process to becoming an elite quarterback, is looking backside on the play, because I think right now he's looking mainly play side when running plays. I don't think he's looking backside as often as he should. He rolled out and threw up a bomb to Pierre Garçon, which they called offensive pass interference on. And it was the right call. Pierre Garçon definitely interfered with the defender. Neither one of them had a chance to catch the ball, so he didn't have to do it. But he did it nonetheless. And so, if he would have looked backside on that play, however, Josh Morgan was running a deep post that if Robert Griffin III looks backside and fires it, and I don't know, he was in a really precarious position because he was rolling out to his right. He would have had to throw across his body back towards the left into the center of the field. He can do it, though. His arm is strong enough that if he would have looked backside, I think we might have had a touchdown on our hands. I think Josh Morgan, if he would have led him correctly, Josh Morgan would have beat that defender to the end zone for a touchdown. So he's got to start looking backside, and that happened several times in this game where if he looks backside of a play, I think he might have something. And that's something I think they need to point out to him watching film in the study room, to look backside on plays where you don't see things that you like front side. Don't force it. Look backside and see if something's there. So we get a pass interference penalty. We overcome that, though. We hit Fred Davis on a pass, or excuse me, we had Josh Morgan on a 19-yard pass on 1st and 20. Puts us in 2nd and 1. We pick that up easily, and we continue to move the sticks. And so that drive had promise because we were moving the ball. And then, despite having penalties, that roughing the passer penalty in the end zone gave us new life on this possession, and we were looking to take full advantage of it. And then we get a personal foul, unnecessary roughness penalty on Pierre Garçon, and that's what I was alluding to earlier. He's a very aggressive receiver. I'm realizing that now. He didn't take a lot of nonsense from defenders. You put your hands on him, he's going to put his hands on you. That's something that he's going to have to taper, however, because, again, the second party usually gets caught in any kind of altercation. He was caught red-handed. They gave him a 15-yard personal foul penalty. Stunted any drive that we were trying to put together. Couldn't overcome 2nd and 25. Had to punt the football. So, again, another drive in the second half that had promise that we shot ourselves in the foot and put a stop to ourselves. Buccaneers got the ball this time, and The game changed after that. Josh Freeman had been being, let's call it tentative. We're going to continue with the theme of being tentative all game long. He was very passive, not taking advantage of opportunities that might have been there. But that all changed with this next possession at the 4:24 mark in the ball game in the third quarter. At the 4:24 mark, Josh Freeman decided to let it go. He decided that he was going to start making throws and stop being passive, because it was getting late in the ball game, and he realized, if I don't become aggressive here soon, we're going to lose this game without even giving it a shot. And this Washington Redskins team is not all that good, especially on defense. Why don't I just cut it loose? I don't know what clicked. I don't know if he saw pictures on the sideline or what. But he came out, and the first play of that possession, he goes up top to Mike Williams. Boom, just like that, about a nice 57-yard gain or so. And they're at the 20-yard line. They're at the Redskins 20, first and goal, red zone, opportunity to score. And so they take about another 5 or 6 plays, get down to about the 7-yard line, third and goal from the 7, and he finds Vincent Jackson for a touchdown. And just like that, we got a new ball game. It's 21-13. And so now you're starting to get a little testy, because now you're starting to get antsy, because we're not a team that puts opposing teams away. And so now that the Bucs are inching closer, the fans are getting back in the game, they're starting to gain some momentum and build it. You're starting to say, all right, we need to get something. I don't care if it's a field goal. Just get something to let them know that, hey, if you want this game, you're going to have to pry it from us. Pry it from our cold, hard, determined fingers. You were going to have to take this one from us if you wanted it. So I was like, just get something on this next possession. So we get the ball back after the Buccaneers touchdown. And we get to third down. And I'm getting a little worried, because this possession started out solid, but we got right around the 40-yard line and it started to bog down. Had a couple of negative plays. And so it was third and long, and I was getting a little worried. And then we went to our bag of tricks. Brought Brandon Banks into the game. Gave him the ball on a nice little throw. And he threw it back to Robert Griffin III on a double pass. He throws it to Niles Paul, who is wide open, and catches it and runs another 15 yards after the catch to give us a first down at the end of the third quarter. So coming into the fourth quarter, we were going to have the ball first and 10 from about the 40-yard line of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So that was a big play in the game. They reviewed it. It was a good catch. And so we were fine. I was pleased to see us go into the bag of tricks, because I knew we were going to have to do something special to preserve this lead. We weren't going to be able to just keep doing the things that we had been doing all game long. And so we went into the bag of tricks, and we needed to. It was third and long. We needed to do something, and we did it. And that was a beautiful play. So we get first down, Tampa Bay Buccaneers territory. We continue to move the ball down the field. We're matriculating the ball down the field beautifully. We get to about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 12-yard line or so, somewhere in there. 3rd and 2. I really would have liked to have seen them either run the football with Alfred Morris, do something short in the passing game, but don't just do quarterback draw all the time. And that's what we did again. Now honestly, I can complain about us running quarterback draw all the time, but it works. It's working. So I'm all for running things that work. And this play would have worked. I watched this play, and I was a little upset and disappointed that they ran this play, being that they had already ran it twice in the red zone, and the Bucs had to be expecting it. And it worked the first 2 times, so they figured, let's keep running it until they stop it. Well, they stopped it on 3rd and 2. I'll tell you why they stopped it, though. This play was drawn up, and it was run beautifully. It was executed almost to perfection. The reason I say almost is because everyone on that play did their job, blocked the right man, and blocked them well, except one person. And that one person was Chris Chester. On the play, Chris Chester pulls. He's the guard on the right side. He pulls to the left side, which is where the play was running. If he blocks his man, which it was funny because Gerald McCoy made an excellent play on this particular play. What he did was he was suspicious, just like a defensive lineman is on a screen when he's just being allowed to rush freely. He got suspicious. He said, okay, Chris Chester didn't block me on this play. He just pulled. So why not just follow him? He's probably going where the play is going. And that's exactly what he did. Chris Chester led him to the tackle. Chris Chester was supposed to pull and block him. Instead, Chris Chester pulled and went and helped Logan Paulson, who didn't need help on the play. He had his man locked up perfectly fine, and Chris Chester didn't seal the inside. Gerald McCoy came right with Chris Chester on the play, came right inside him. Chris Chester never saw him, never put a hand on him, and he was able to corral Robert Griffin III short of the first down. So early in the game, I think I made a mistake and said it was a 31. That was a 41 early in the game. So I was willing to let that one slide. You're supposed to be able to make a 41-yard field goal, but he didn't. I was willing to let that one go. And the reason I was scared of him kicking the one before halftime is because when you have a mentally fragile and unstable kicker like Billy Cundiff, you don't want them to see the ball not go through the uprights too often. And so he had already missed from 41 in the first half. Then you go right before the half and kick that long 57 or 54-yard or whatever it was, and he just fell short on that one. So that was 2 misses. 2 misses for a guy who is not mentally stable as a kicker, who is already a little flimsy. That's too much for them to handle. And so I was nervous that he missed 2 kicks in the first half. I said, don't make him kick this long field goal. If he kicks this and misses it, and that's 2 kicks that he sees not go through the uprights, he's going to be a mess. And that's exactly what he was as he came into the game in the fourth quarter when we needed him to kind of put this game a little out of reach. 11-point lead at this point in this juncture of the game when the Buccaneers haven't really done much on offense. They just had scored their first touchdown of the game. 11 points was going to be probably too much for them to be able to overcome. That would have quieted the crowd. That would have tempered that momentum that they were building. And that would have sustained the drive, got points, and stretched this lead out. Instead, Billy Cundiff, who is now mentally a mess, he's a wreck right now, goes in the game and calmly misses a 31-yarder. And I knew he was going to miss this kick. And it's funny because even the commentators knew he was going to miss this kick. You know, they were talking as if he was going to miss this kick. And so everybody knew he was going to miss this kick, probably except Mike Shanahan. And so he went in, missed the kick. Crowd goes nuts. Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense goes nuts. And now the momentum is really starting to build. I'm talking about this ball is rolling downhill now. If you're a Redskins fan, you know you've seen this script. You've seen this movie time and time again. It never ends well for the Redskins. And so you feel like, oh, hell, here we go again. You get that pit in your stomach where you say, all right, we're about to blow this lead. How are we going to do it? And so the Bucs get the football, drive down the field, and sure enough, another big play. First play out of the gate, down the field. Vincent Jackson, dive and catch. First down, Redskins territory, about the 35-yard line, just like that. One play, and they're right back in scoring position. And we know if they're at the 35-yard line or wherever, somewhere in that vicinity, that's corner bar territory. And so we already were going to give up 3 points, barring some kind of penalty or a sack or something. So they continue to drive the ball down the field. Next thing you know, he throws a nice little post route to Vincent Jackson down to about the 2-yard line. At that point, I knew that we were going to give up another touchdown. And sure enough, they give it to LeGarrette Blount 2 plays later. He's in the end zone, and now it's a 19-21 game. And I'm saying to myself, all year long, we have been terrible at stopping teams on 2-point conversions. I think we had 2 of them attempted on us and 2 of them successful against us. The Saints did it, the Rams did it, and both of them were successful. And so I was worried. Luckily enough, the Bucs, as they had done all day, shot themselves in the foot. False start, pushes them back 5 yards. Instead of being from the 2-yard line, now it's from the 7. That makes it a lot more difficult. Josh Freeman had not been accurate all game long in the intermediate route, so a 7-yard pass for him wasn't easy. He was throwing the ball much better, 45 yards down the field than he was 7. And so I felt good about us having him at the 7-yard line, and sure enough, he tried to fit it into tight coverage with 3 Redskin defenders around, not even close. So we hold on that 2-point conversion and keep our 2-point lead at 21-19. I still don't feel safe. I feel uneasy because if we don't score another touchdown, at this point now, I'm not even thinking field goal is good anymore. I'm thinking we need a touchdown because we just given up 2 easy touchdowns. These weren't touchdowns they had to work for. We just gave up 2 easy touchdowns. 2 touchdowns on possessions where the first play of their possession was a bomb down the field that put them in scoring position. And so I was worried now. I'm like, I need 7. I don't want a field goal because a field goal still gets you beat with a touchdown. So I was past that at that point. Now I want a touchdown. So we get the ball back, and I'm hungry for a touchdown now. I want points. I'll take a field goal. I prefer a touchdown, though. I really would like to be comfortable here. A field goal still allows you to lose with a touchdown because a field goal only puts you up 5. A touchdown puts you up 9, and that's out of reach. And so I really wanted 7. So we get the ball back. We start to do a few things, and I'm feeling good about our prospects of being able to score. Then Robert Griffin III takes a sack when he was trying to get out of the pocket. And so now it's 3rd and 12. I'm a little uneasy about 3rd and 12 because we really didn't do a good job of picking up 3rd and long. We were great in 1st and 2nd and long, of eating up chunks of yardage to get it to 3rd and short or getting the first down, period. But actually being in 3rd and long, we weren't faring too well in that department. And so I didn't feel good about us being in 3rd and 12. So he throws a deep ball to Leonard Hankerson on that possession. And I thought Hankerson, first of all, jumped way too soon. He mistimed his jump. Might have had a chance at it. But I don't feel confident about Leonard Hankerson in one-on-one coverage, jumping up and making a play. I don't think that's his strong suit. I don't think that's in his DNA. I don't think that's the type of player that he is. He's not a go-getter. He's not a guy that you throw the ball to and allow him to go elevate up over a 5'10 corner and allow him to use his 6'2 frame to go make a play. I don't think that's who he is. I think that was evident by him jumping way too soon and mistiming his jump on that play. If you're used to doing that, you elevate at the right time, you get the proper depth, and you go up and high point the football. He was all over the place, uncoordinated, never had a shot at that. What I really would have liked to see Robert Griffin III do in this situation, though, was what I spoke to earlier. Go backside. If he looked on that side and saw Hankerson one-on-one, but if he would have looked backside, he would have saw Pierre Garçon. The same type of play that Josh Freeman hit Mike Williams on the sideline. One-on-one coverage, beat his man off the line, had about a step or 2 on him, laid it out there beautifully for him. Had he looked backside, I'd much rather take my chances with Pierre Garçon backside against Aqib Talib. He had beat him off the line, had a step or 2 on him, used his speed to get up the field. Robert Griffin III lays it out there. That's a touchdown. That safety was kind of coming up because Logan Paulson was coming off the line and running a post route in the middle of the field. So that safety kind of froze. He wasn't going to be able to get to the football in time. I would much rather like to see him throw that to Pierre Garçon in one-on-one coverage versus Hankerson in one-on-one coverage. And he had tight man-to-man coverage on that side. Pierre had already beat his man. I would have loved to have seen him give Pierre Garçon a chance backside on that play. Again, this is something that he'll learn, and I think that's the next step in his maturation, is looking backside on plays and seeing if there's a better option available before just chucking it and turning it loose. We were fortunate earlier in this game, in the second half, when the momentum was starting to turn, and he forced it to Josh Morgan on a slant, and it was batted in the air, and Mason Foster, had a chance to pick it off and didn't get it. And if he would have looked backside again on that play, Pierre Garçon streaking down the sideline or running a post wide open, he throws that ball, Pierre Garçon might score. Again, he has to start looking backside on some of these plays. Guys are running open. Guys are running with a step or 2 on their defender, and he has the arm to get it there. So sometimes I think he's too quick to pull the trigger on something because that's where the play is designed to go. Doesn't have to go there, especially if there's something, cooking up backside. Gotta give it a shot. Gotta give it a shot. So that's something I think he'll work on and get better at as time progresses. Anyway, we don't do anything. He missed the opportunity to go to Garçon on the other side of the field. We have to punt. Tampa Bay gets the football. We're able to stop them after them getting a few first downs. We're able to, Kerrigan makes a beautiful play on a 3rd down where they're looking to dump it off. They tried to cut him. He knew something was up when they tried to cut him. He fought off the cut, got out into the flat, stopped DJ Ware, the running back, and tackled him for a nice long loss on the play. They had to punt. We get the football back, and I really wanted to run the 4-minute offense. At this point, I'm like, eat the hell out of this clock. Eat it up. Yum, yum, eat it up. I'm talking Pac-Man style. Hump, 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 hump. Eat the clock up. We had been running the football well all game. I wanted to get into some kind of pistol spread option look. Fake it. If Rob needed to take it out and run a few times because he really hadn't did it all game, I was for that. I was for him giving it to Alfred Morris. I was loving the little pitch that we were doing. It was an unconventional pitch because we're lined up in a weak or a strong formation look with the fullback offset, and we would just pitch it basically diagonally backwards, and he would just cut it up. Normally when you pitch it, it's going wide, but he was going north and south with the pitch, and I was loving that play because it was a great cutback opportunity. I think Alfred Morris does well with cutbacks, and so I was all for some of that. Even just running the stretch, we were having success running the football, period, as Alfred Morris went over 100 yards for the first time in his career. We were having success running it just about every way you could imagine. I mean, the Bucs were starting to get a lot more stingy in what they were allowing on the ground, but still, I wanted to eat the hell out of the clock, and I thought we came out a bit too over-aggressive, throwing the ball down the field and just doing things that I thought we didn't need to do. I thought we needed to eat up more clock and get first downs if we can, at least get into third and shorts, which would allow us to have the playbook basically open to whatever we wanted to do, but we didn't run our 4-minute offense. We weren't able because I didn't want to let the Bucs get the ball back. After they punted that one time when Kerrigan made that stop, I didn't want them to get the football back. I wanted to keep the football, pick up about 4 first downs, force them to use all their timeouts, get that last first down and clinch the ball game and not allow their offense to see the field again. Of course, that's too easy for us. We don't make things that easy on ourselves. Of course, we had to go basically 3 and out. We might have got a first down, but we punted the football. They got the ball back with well over 2 minutes in the game. Get into field goal range, and it was a couple of plays on that possession where you felt good. Josh Freeman had a snap that was loaded. He couldn't really play well, and he had to pick it up, and you thought, okay, let's get to him. And we never got pressure on him in this game. I was really disappointed in the lack of pressure, and I was thinking to myself, when Orakpo went down for the season, we're going to see really what his impact is on this defense. Because sometimes I question whether his impact on this defense is as great as many in the media makes it out to be. I think people give him too much credit sometimes where it's not deserved, because I think he needs to have secondary moves. We know that you're a guy that goes to the rip move and you allow tackles to clothesline you and put you in sleeper holds. And they don't always throw the flag for that because they get tired of you doing the same move. They get accustomed to seeing you getting held and they stop throwing the flag. And so, yeah, you have a gripe there, but you don't get to the quarterback enough. And so I was thinking, let's see if he really has an impact on this defense. Because I said Kerrigan is probably our best pure pass rusher. And I thought that Jackson and Marcus White and even Chris Wilson to an extent could come in passing situations, knowing that they were going to be able to go after the quarterback, pin their ears back. We're going to be able to get adequate pressure. And I thought last year we did a great job of collapsing pockets with Barry Cofield and Stephen Bowen. We're not collapsing pockets this year. Guys aren't using secondary moves. They're just using bull rushes or speed rush around the end, and they're just getting pushed around, and so the pocket is remaining intact. And we didn't get pressure on Josh Freeman. And so he dropped the ball all on the ground. And the snap was terrible. Had time to pick it up, dust it off, blow it off, find the laces, look upfield, and find Tyquan Underwood for a nice pickup. And we just couldn't get to Josh Freeman. And it's sickening. In the Tampa Bay in the defense's defense, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have a pretty solid line. They went out, got Carl Nicks in the offseason. Donald Penn is a very good left tackle. And so they have a solid offensive line. If you've been following the Bucs, in previous years. Before, I mean, going all the way back to John Gruden, they drafted offensive linemen. It seemed like John Gruden would draft offensive linemen in rounds 1 through 7 every single year. They loved offensive linemen. They stockpiled them, and so they have talent on the offensive line. And so it was okay that we didn't get pressure. I can understand it, but it doesn't make it any easier to swallow. It doesn't make it any easier to take the fact that we couldn't get any pressure on Josh Freeman all game long. He was bad. That we got one sack, and that was Kerrigan just being relentless. He had time to get rid of that ball. He didn't. He tried to scramble out, make something happen, and Kerrigan was able to get to him. But back to the game. Tyquan Underwood makes that catch, makes another catch on that drive, gets them into field goal range. And at this point now, I'm just like, just stop them from getting a touchdown or stop them from allowing them to make us use our timeouts and be able to eat up all the clock and kick a last-second field goal. Just stop them from being able to beat us without us getting the ball back to Robert Griffin III. Just give him a chance. That's all I ask. And so the defense was able to do that, able to force them to kick a field goal, which I knew Connor Barth was going to make. He's an exceptional kicker, and so no doubt in my mind we were going to be trailing when we got the football back. Sure enough, he knocks it through. We get the football back. And the thing about it now, if you're a Redskins fan, the one thing you feel good about in late game situations, something you couldn't say for the last 2 decades, is that if we get the ball trailing or tied, less than 2 minutes, no timeouts, 1 timeout, 2 timeouts, whatever the situation, you feel good. I got Robert Griffin III back here. He's going to make plays. It was no doubt in my mind that he was going to take us down the field. What I was questioning was, are we going to make the field goal? Is Billy Cundiff in enough of a good mental condition to kick this field goal? And of course, they showed a shot of him on the sideline. He was a wreck. He looked a mess. He looked like he wanted to vomit. I felt queasy just looking at him. He made me feel so uneasy about him kicking his field goal. And we hadn't even gotten in the field goal range yet. They put a pan shot on him, of him on the sideline, and he looked like this. He was nervous as hell. And so I was like, he's going to miss this field goal. Because I knew Robert was going to get us in position to kick it. I knew that. No doubt in my mind, they weren't going to be able to stop us. So, first play of the possession, hit Santana Moss over the middle. Santana gets about 15. Beautiful play by Santana Moss. We get up to the line. Buccaneers really hadn't blitzed all day. Decide to bring 7 inexcusably at this juncture of the game. Guess they thought they were going to force Robert into a mistake. I don't know what they were thinking. Nonetheless, he looks them off, finds Fred Davis, who calmly runs, who's wide open, runs for about 25 yards. All of a sudden, we're in business at the Buccaneers' 45-yard line. They drop back, hit another pass, another short gain, and then spike the ball. Then Robert goes up to the line, drops back, doesn't like what he sees, rolls out. It's green pastures everywhere. So he just takes off, runs for about a good 17 yards. Could have slid. I had no problem with him taking that shot. I know what he was trying to do. He was trying to cut it back, because if he'd have cut back, it was ball game. He would have scored. And so had no problems with him taking that shot. None whatsoever. Got us down to about the 24-yard line or so. And that was essentially it. At that point, there was mass hysteria on the Redskins sideline, and I didn't know for what. We had a timeout. It's not as if we didn't have a timeout. We had a timeout in our back pocket. Let the clock run down to about 4 seconds. Kick the game-winning field goal and let the time expire. What was there to think about? Why was everybody panicking? Why was everybody running around? We had a 5-yard penalty, or false start, that I don't put on Corey Lichtenstein. I put on the coaching staff, because they acted as if we called a timeout. Robert Griffin III went over. Of course, we found out after the game his headset and went out. Couldn't hear the play. And they're over there conversing as if they don't have to go out and run a play. As if they got a timeout and we're in a break. And so they come back and they get in the huddle. And they get in the huddle with about 9 seconds left on the play clock. I'm like, they're not getting this play off. We're going to have to burn our last timeout foolishly right here. So they get to the line with about 3 seconds. And Corey Lichtensteiger figures, we got to snap the ball immediately. He jumps. We get a penalty. Luckily for us, we were able to get some yards back, spike the ball, and or get the yards back, call timeout, and kick the game-winning field goal. Billy Cundiff comes on the field. And I told Billy Cundiff, as the timeout was called and the whole break throughout the duration of that timeout, I'm telling him, I'm yelling at Billy Cundiff the whole time. If you want to get fired, miss this kick. Miss this kick. If you want to be unemployed, miss this kick. If you want to save your job, make the kick. Make the kick. If you want to save your job, make the kick. Because although you are 0 for 3 right now, you make this kick, we win this game, the coaching staff will forgive you. The players will forgive you. You made the one that mattered most. I'll forgive you. Even though I want a new kicker, I'm okay with keeping Billy Cundiff at this point because I know Mike Shanahan isn't getting rid of him. So I'm not going to worry myself. I'm not going to stress over something that I know isn't going to change. Unless Billy Cundiff blows a game or two down the road, we're not getting rid of Billy Cundiff. I was never in favor of this move in the first place. I wanted Graham Gano on the team. So, you know where I stand at with Billy Cundiff. I already had a rant on Tuesday's episode about field goal kickers and the Redskins, and so I'm not going to go into that again. But Billy Cundiff is someone that I feel like if he gets into a groove and he's comfortable, he'll roll off 10, 11, 12, 17 straight kicks. But he's just got to be mentally stable. He's got to see the ball go through the uprights. Hopefully that last kick he just made gives him confidence to start going out and making kicks. Because if he misses a kick or two, in his mind, everything is falling. The sky's falling. The world is crumbling. And his confidence is shot. His confidence is gone if he misses 2 kicks in a row. And that's what scares me about Billy Cundiff. And so he made the kick. He secured his job for another week. And he has to be better. This game should have never came to this. And we should have won this game outright. But we did it to ourselves. We missed kicks. We didn't take advantage of opportunities that were afforded to us in the second half. Had a lot of penalties that stopped drives. And so we found ourselves in a very precarious situation. But we were able to get ourselves out of it because of our young phenom quarterback, Robert Griffin III. And we were able to get the victory. And so we move on to 2-2. The Bucs fall to 1-3 on the season with this loss, and so we win the game 24-22. Bad clock management at the end because after the field goal was made, we still had 4 seconds on the clock, which was stupid. We should have never had to kick that ball off. Why are you calling timeout with 8 seconds left? Who does that? Let the clock drip down to 3 or 4 or 3 seconds, and then kick the field goal. Never understand. But anyway, we won the game, and moving past that game, looking forward to week 5, we have the Atlanta Falcons at home. I don't feel confident about this game at all, whatsoever. Our pass defense, and now that the news of Brandon Merriweather going down and not being able to play, and who knows how long he'll be out for, just makes it that much harder for me to believe that we can stop the Falcons on offense. Not saying that Brandon Merriweather is the end-all, be-all, and that he's the solution to this problem. Who knows what he's going to do when he comes back. But I tell you, he's an upgrade from Reed Doughty or DeJon Gomes. But you're not going to hear me badmouth Reed Doughty. Reed Doughty, I thought he played a great game against Tampa Bay. Everybody wants to run Reed Doughty out of town, as they normally do in Washington, run guys out of town unnecessarily. And he came in, did a bang-up job, as he always does. But next week, we can't play cover 2. We can't allow safeties to be one-on-one with any of these Falcon receivers. Have to play man-to-man. I venture to say that we got to find a way to stop the Falcons' running attack with 7. Because I feel like we got to keep our safeties out of the box, keep them deep, play man-to-man coverage, and man up Roddy White and Julio Jones on the outside, and take our chances with guys just playing one-on-one. If they beat us one-on-one, I'll take it. But we can't give up 73-yard passes over the top because we're allowing these receivers to run free off the line because we're playing cover 2 and think that they're going to be able to match up with these receivers. Our safeties match up with these receivers. Not going to happen. Either way, Matt Ryan's going to carve us up. Julio Jones is going to eat us up. Roddy White's going to have a field day. Tony Gonzalez is going to have fun. And we're going to be in trouble as that offense is going to move the ball up and down the field on the score points. Only way we beat the Falcons is if we force turnovers and we outscore them. We're going to have to score 31 points. We're going to have to limit them to 27 and find a way to win. I don't see it happening. I see the Falcons beating us in this game, 30 to 23, and us just being outscored at home and not being able to do enough to beat them and not being able to do enough on the defensive side of football to stop them. But I'm going to go into this game being optimistic, thinking that we have a shot. But on my football pool sheet, you won't see me taking a chance on us. Can't do it because I don't trust us enough on the defensive side of football. Offensively, we're going to be a handful for the Falcons to deal with. They just had Cam Newton last week, and what he did last week, we're going to do and then some on them this week on offense. No doubt in my mind we're going to be able to exploit them offensively with our offense and what we bring to the table. Be nice to get Aldrick Robinson back in the fold. We'll see what happens with his concussion test and all those things during the course of the week, but it doesn't matter to me. Whoever we put out on the field, I feel like we can go out and dominate with the pieces that we have on offense. Trent Williams, hopefully he'll be able to go. It was admirable of him to go last week. Hopefully he didn't re-aggravate anything, and he's going to be better this week. If he can go, if everyone is healthy, if we have no setbacks, if we can get Aldrick Robinson back, if Brandon Banks didn't tweak anything, if he's ready to go next week, I feel confident about our offense. I feel confident what we can do on the offensive side of the ball. I'm worried about our defense. I think our defense is going to be torn to shreds next week. And we'll see. We'll see. We do. One thing I will say about this defense, every time we play against a high-octane offense, every single time, at home, when you least expect it, they rise to the occasion and make the ball game a lot closer than what it's supposed to be. We've done it to Aaron Rodgers the year they won the Super Bowl. When we beat them at home, no one expected us to do that. We did it to Drew Brees the year they won the Super Bowl at home. We blew that game at the end, but we dominated that game for about 3.5 quarters. We did it to Peyton Manning 2 years ago at home. Had a chance to win that game, didn't get it done. So we limit teams that are explosive on the offensive side when they come to Washington, to FedEx Field. Well, we limit them. We just don't do enough to win. So, and that's what I think ultimately is going to happen to us on Sunday. But we'll see. It's going to be a fun game to watch. Two explosive offenses. And yes, I just called a Redskins offense explosive. But yeah, two explosive offenses who can score points going up against each other. I just don't think ours is going to be able to stop theirs as much as their defense is going to be able to stop ours. And I think that'll be the difference in the game. And so that's going to do it for me. And on this Redskins report, I'm a Redskins fan who bleeds burgundy and gold. My Redskin spirit will never die. My Redskin spirit will never fold. Whether we lose or whether we win, I'm going to ride with the Redskins until the end. And so I say to you, hail to the Redskins.
The Redskins report.